Welcome back to Lower Keys Living, everybody. Hope everybody is having a great Labor Day weekend. This is a weekend of being flexible, and you can see here Cudjoe Bay was still full of algae, a really green color, and that was option number 2 for us. Had to be really flexible with what we were doing this weekend, and had a couple of different videos in mind, and actually end up on fourth on the list is what I'm going to do today for you. Originally planned to go out freelining for yellowtail snapper and some bottom fishing for some hogfish. Don't have any snapper in the freezer. Wanted to get some in. And then had planned to go lobstering out in our bay, but it's again still really green and full of algae. So then decided to shoot on out to the sandbars with the dogs, but I'm having an electrical issue with the Evinrude on my flats boat. So ultimately we decided to run out to Lobster Bay, look for some lobster out here on the Gulf side. And got out here, it was really nice to see there's so many boats all along Kemp Channel and out here at the bay, or what I call Lobster Bay, probably 15, 20 boats out here. Everybody was out lobstering. Beautiful day out here, but the water was pretty cloudy, I was noticing as we were pulling up. Didn't seem to deter these folks out here. Didn't really see anybody coming up with lobster, but certainly everybody was out here giving it a shot. But I figured I'd jump in, anchor up. Wasn't that worried about it. I've got plenty of lobster in the freezer, stored away and packed away. But really just wanted to get out on the water today and get in and see what we can get. So jumped in here. And sure enough, once I got in, the water was as cloudy. Actually, it was a little worse than I even thought it was. Maybe 10, 15 feet of visibility at best. But the current through here today was just ripping. And I've got a Danforth anchor, and they are the worst in the world at anchoring in seagrass. You can see with the current, it is just dragging along here. Tried to drop it in a sandy spot, which is really what the Danforth anchors are made for. And you can see it's just sliding right through the grass, can't bite. But as soon as it gets to the sand, it just buried itself, locked in, and we were in place. But again, looking around, the water was really, really pretty cloudy all the way around. So I decided too much current. We didn't stick around here for very long, swam for a little bit, pulled up anchor, and I've been wanting to do a video giving some tips, beginner tips and some safety tips on boating in the backcountry. So that is what I'm going to focus on today. It's a video I'd planned. I've got some information on here to share with everybody, but really if you're new to boating in the backcountry, what I'm going to do is really designed for you today. All right, welcome back. And so today I'm going to focus on a few tips and just some information on navigating our shallow waters down here, especially if you're new to boating in the Florida Keys, haven't done it before, not a lot of experience. You might remember from a couple of weeks ago, just before lobster season, I had posted this. I was coming in from out scouting lobstering and watched this guy just bury his $500,000 streamline on the coral shelf here, entering the channel to the rental house he had. Totally misread it. In this channel, he's even marked how to get in here. Just didn't know it and buried the boat. Not sure what kind of damage he had, but you can just see how high and dry he managed to get this thing. So first thing, be cautious down here and know where you're going. If you're not familiar with the area that you're going or pulling into, slow down. Don't hit anything harder than you're willing to bump into it. You're going to save yourself a lot of time and money. So today we anchored up right out here. This is the area that I call Lobster Bay that I featured in our top lobster spots on the Gulf side. Just a beautiful spot. And as I said earlier, there were 15, 20 boats in here. Decided to anchor up out here. There's a lot of nice ledges in here too for lobstering. But what I wanted to talk about today was there are some really beautiful white sandy sandbars in here that are really enticing. And if you're looking at your charts, at your navionics and these satellite photos, it looks like there is a big, beautiful cut to give you access over here to those. So that is something I wanted to correct right away. So this is a little further out view of that. Again, this is that area that I call Lobster Bay in here. This is where we are anchored out. This is the Kemp Channel that comes down in between Cudjoe Key and Summerlin Key. It branches off this way to go out to the Niles Channel, which brings you to the other side of Summerlin out towards Big Pine Key. But big split here, and you can see the current carrying sand and sediment. All that sand just swirls around and piles up outside the current on both sides. That's why you always see these sandbars just off to the side of these channels. So this one, this sandbar, this cut is almost entirely filled in. You can still get through with a flats boat at high tide, a fairly shallow water draft boat, but we definitely would not recommend it with a bigger boat anymore. And the other thing that's deceiving, because it's marked clearly on charts and navigation equipment, but it just doesn't exist. So this is a screenshot from my Navionics program. I've got a portable Navionics unit I have on the boat, as well as a Simrad on the big boat, and I've got a built-in Garmin on the flats boat. But these markers that it's showing, there's 5 of them right here, they do not exist. If you're new to the area, you're coming out here, you'll never see those, and you can be searching up and down, wondering why you're not seeing them. They're not there. And this isn't the only false marking that I'll share with you here today. So be aware, things change and these do not keep up to date. I refreshed updated maps on all 3 units today, Navionics, Garmin, and Simrad, and they all showed that. And they all still show these markers that mark the entrance to the Niles Channel. As long as I've been down here, those have never existed, and they're definitely not there today. So if you're trying to cut over to Niles Channel, don't look for those. So again, learn to read the watercolors and what they mean. You'll save yourself a lot of trouble. And then do not rely on your Navionics equipment. So one of the frequent things you'll see, and this is out in the boat channel going from Cudjoe Bay out towards the Gulf of Mexico, and we're heading over to Marvin Key, or you may be out here, you're going to run into these bully stakes every once in a while. This one's just a PVC pipe with a traffic cone stuck on it. And people, they're not formal markers. People just drop these to mark spots, never tell you whether you be on the right side or the left side of these. So you've got to learn by watching the water or having somebody that's done it before let you know where to go. Here you'll see the stake on the exit from this narrow slot. It's only about 20 feet wide, the whole length here, and it's the only way to get through. If you're a few feet off on either side of this slot, you are going to be grounded, even in a flats boat. Now we're going to jump up here a little further out, a few miles out. We're crossing over to Turkey Basin, going over to Marvin Key on this trip. And if you watch the left side of the screen, you'll see another bully stake's going to come into view. There it is between us and the island. And again, it doesn't tell you what side to go on, but that's a critical stake to know, because this is another really critical turn you need to make going from the boat channel over to Marvin Key. And this is where one of our favorite destinations, but navigating Turkey Basin is kind of tricky. And I'm going to jump in to show you the route that we do and some of the things to look for to help you navigate better out here. All right, next up, this is the boat channel. This is the boat channel bridge between Sugarloaf Key and Cudjoe Key. This is the route that we take out to get to the sandbars out on Turkey Basin. We're under the bridge, following out. And one thing, what I'm going to show you and focus on today is understanding bully markers. Those are usually pieces of PVC pipe that are stuck in concrete. Sometimes they've got a traffic cone on top of those. And a lot of these are put out there by local fishermen, guides, just local boaters marking channels for themselves. And this cut specifically, this boat channel cut, super narrow, really shallow. There's no room for error on either side. And there's a bully stake. And I showed you these in that last bit of footage that I just posted. We're going past those, and there's nothing that tells you anywhere what side of those stakes to be on. And one sits right here, and the other one sits right here, but you have no idea, should you be on the right side of those on your way out, on the left side on the way out, where do you go? And that's just local knowledge, getting to know the waters. And you can see if you're coming up here at a decent speed, you'll be able to see where this channel is and what side you're going on. If it's a windy, choppy day, makes it tough. But on your way out, you want these bully stakes on your right and on your way out, on your left, on your way in. But again, no matter, you'll see bully stakes around that people have put in all over the shallow waters, but there's nothing to tell you what side to go on. So again, slow down. We were coming out here a couple of months ago, and I had the flats boat, and we were running about 40 knots. and I see a guy on this massive boat. It turned out it was Invincible with triple engines on it, and he was overtaking us. He was probably going a good 60, 65, and he tried to pass me on the right, and he came up here and just buried the boat. Came to a dead stop. People went flying. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, but he was stuck there for hours. Had to wait for high tide to come in and have Towboat US come in and drag him off. I can only imagine the damage and scratches he put in on the bottom of that boat, but just buried it. Because you can see there's actually engine lines, single engine lines in here, even people in the channel. Again, this is only about 15 feet wide, definitely only enough room for one boat at a time. So if I see somebody entering from one side or the other, I'll stop and wait before I go in there. I've had it, people, when I'm coming in and I hug this, coming from the other direction, and they'll still come in here, but I'll just hold my line and they'll end up just running aground trying to come this way. So places like this, just take your time, let people go through, don't be in a rush. Better to be safe and save your boat from damage. The other bully stake that I showed you is right out here. So this is that channel, and then to come out, we have to come out here, and this sandbar runs all the way down here, and it is really shallow, all under 2 feet the whole way in here. And then there's a bully stake right out here, and I'll show you on the Navionics chart. You have to come all the way up here, then make a U-turn because you need to drop back down this way, and then come on out to cross Turkey Basin on this one. And again, you'll see a bully stake here, but there's nothing on any chart, any of your Navionics that tell you which way to go around that. So again, it's local knowledge and learning the waters. And I learned all this. I borrowed a neighbor's chip from his Simrad, put it in my Simrad, and then ran my sailproof tablet on a tracking program. So it tracks and records my route. So I recorded that route, but I was following along his freshly recorded route from his Simrad at the same time. If you can do that, highly recommend it. There are people that will sell chips for just about every type of tablet with their current routes on there. Sometimes I will share something, but just preface that it's really, really recent. Or if something's old, I let them know, because these sandbars do shift around and move around a lot. I don't like sharing mine publicly. I keep my Navionics routes private. If I've got a fishing spot, somebody asks for it, I'll share that route with them directly, but I don't keep my Navionics routes on public display like a lot of people do, just because things shift. I don't want anybody following it and then getting their boat buried, doing some damage. I'm like, oh, I was following Keith's route and look what happened to me. So that's why I don't do it. But if people ask, I do share stuff. So this is that turn coming up from that slot. That bully marker up here sits out here. The sandbar is way wider than what this shows. It actually comes all the way out here and comes out, and this goes all the way back in towards that cut on the bow channel. But you have to come up, make this U-turn, and drop down before you can head across Turkey Basin. So this is that area of Turkey Basin. We've already made that turn, and we come across to go over to the sandbars. Favorite sandbars, love this area here at Marvin Key out here. Like what this sandbar was, this one is totally shifted over. And this is why you can't rely on your navigation equipment or even on Google Earth. This sandbar now sits right out here. It is a massive sandbar, wraps all the way around, comes around and out here, and almost connects to this sandbar over here, which cuts all the way across. There's a really narrow slot where you can come in and come behind it, anchor up on the back side of the sandbar from both directions to get in there. It gives you a nice protection. But this, it's not here anymore. And what this does, people will look at this and it's on their navigation equipment. It throws them off because they think they're entering this channel, but this channel has also shifted this way. So it's now over here. And what that does is this rock pile is always underwater, but super shallow. We're talking 6-7 inches deep there. And people think they're going this way, looking at their navigation equipment, but they're actually coming this way. And you can see this is that shallow rock pile, and you can just see how many people have hit this. And this is, I'm guessing, an older, because it is, if you go out there now, it is just full of scars and boat damage. So be careful. Do not rely on your navigation equipment out here in the backcountry. Learn to read the watercolors, and again, take your time. Watch what's going. When we're back here, I'm usually just really slow. I have people up close to the bow so they can see if anything changes, if we're getting too shallow, even for the flats boat. Another reason why here is that rock pile is hit so often. Again, this sandbar that shows here is now over here, comes all the way across this way, and this channel that people use to access Marvin Key is now right through here. So people think they're coming this way if they're following their satellite image on their map. It looks like they're going that way, but it's actually shifted over, and they're looking at this channel and they're running straight into that. And it's really common. You've got the boat marina down in here. Everybody that lives up here on Upper Sugarloaf, they'll navigate through, come under, and then they use this channel coming out. And then it is a straight shot across to get out to Marvin Key. And what is right in their way is that rock pile. So be super careful, learn the waters, really talk to folks. If you can borrow somebody's, again, if you can borrow a chip to put into your unit that's got roots on it, highly suggest that, or just slow down, take your time. Nothing is worth going fast and damaging your boat. If you're down here on vacation, a boating vacation, you're fishing, you've got the filament of sandbars, last thing you want to do is bury your outdrive, end up with a few $1,000s in damage, and be without a boat down here on your vacation. So take your time, slow down, and enjoy your time out here. There's one more thing that I want to share with you, and this is right out in my very own bay. Again, this is Cudjoe Bay up in here, and this will take us out to the boat channel that we just saw you to get out to Turkey Basin. This is the route out through the channel to go out to the ocean now. But right here, and I never would have known this, except for first time I came out, I brought one of my neighbors that's super familiar with the bay, and he showed me this. I started heading off this way because I can see right here is a great big green channel marker. Big wooden post, sits about 10 feet out of the water, has a great big green marker on it. So I think on my way out, that needed to be on my right. He goes, no, that's a marker that should have been removed after Hurricane Irma. All this sand, this big sandbar, shifted over after Irma. The channel used to come out this way to get out to the ocean. This piled up, and now this marker they never removed or took out of place. And it's a big problem. I've seen so many boats bury on here. You can see all the tracks. So that marker sits right here, and you can start to see how many people miss that, thinking this is the way to go, because all the current charts and everything still show this on here. Again, this one is on Navionics, it's on the Simrad, and it is on Garmin, that marker. You've got to learn to ignore that one completely, and it's hard for people that don't know do it, because you can really see this sandbar pretty well, but people are so in tune, like, that's a marker, that's got to be right, that's got to be legitimate. No, don't trust it. Learn to read the water, learn to read the watercolors. Here's a little closer look again. Here is that marker sitting right here, and you can see how much the sandbar is shifted, because even if that was in the right place, it's shifted here. You can see twin engine pop marks. People are just burying this, and this is low tide, no matter what. They're getting themselves buried, but you can see all these single engine tracks in here that got themselves stuck. There's a set of twin engines that got stuck. Here's another set of twins way over here, which the charts show would be safe to go, just getting buried. So again, learn the water, learn to read the water, and get good enough so you can trust yourself on what's going on out there. Take your time, slow down, be careful. Definitely want everybody to come down here and have fun. Last thing we want to see is anybody getting hurt or getting their boat damaged. Ruins your trip down here, so take your time, learn to read the water. If you can, hire a charter boat, a backcountry captain to go out with you. A lot of them will go out on your boat so you can record routes and stuff on your boats. It's a fairly inexpensive way to do it. And get those routes down, recorded, so you can follow them and learn from a professional out there on that backcountry. A nice, easy, inexpensive way to go. Thanks for joining us this week. We will see you next week. Hopefully we'll get some better water. We'll be out fishing. I'm looking forward to do some free lining for yellowtail snapper and for hogfish. So hoping to get you on the water this week, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.